I'm here. Sean's here. Geno's here. Let's do this!
What up, everybody? That was a real intro, I'm told, as opposed to whatever the fuck I do. And there I go, dropping an F-bomb 7 seconds into the broadcast.
Oh, man.
That's why I don't get. That's why I don't get paid. That's why I'm strictly slave labor.
PG programming, guys.
Sorry, I messed up, everybody. What's up? It's your boy Sean here at Cageside Live. I'm now bi-weekly. We're doing these things almost. I got Geno with me, General.
What's happening?
And we have dug out of mothballs. He actually woke up for this one.
Yeah,
Ron.
I wasn't invited to the other ones. That's a point of clarification.
True, you were invited to the Beast in the East one, and you started sending tweets at like 8 in the morning when we'd already been done for like a half an hour.
Oh, yeah. No, like when I was actually going to start. So I did actually. I completely missed that show. Like
Yeah.
even the actual wrestling event. So what I was actually going to do is like start live tweeting the actual event when I woke up, like at like noon, and then like play kayfabe of like, where's Sean and Geno? Why aren't they doing Cageside Live with me? But I didn't. I didn't.
That was a good story.
That was great, and that's the way it didn't happen.
Yeah, that's the way I didn't do it. No, what ended up happening? I was dog sitting and I didn't want to wake up the dogs. So
Sure.
Dog sitting.
A likely story.
it's a very true story too.
You're also widely known as an inveterate liar, so we
Am
just
I?
won't believe you. And
Am I widely known?
I'm kidding. I have no idea.
You're widely known as someone who might fall asleep at any moment. So
You,
That is
we
true.
just assumed you were in a train yard, so I don't know.
Here's the thing. I actually did fall asleep on like not this past episode of Untethered, but last week's episode of Untethered.
Beautiful.
But
living the gimmick.
about
Keep the dream alive, man.
45 minutes in.
What's up, fellas? We're here to talk about NXT.
We are.
Oh, are we? Well, that's sort of Beast in the East is sort of a tie-in, right?
No.
Well, that event was like 10 years ago, so let's move on
Okay.
with our lives.
All right. Well, let's start with. So I put it in the body of the post. Geno sent out a tweet last night after NXT Wrap where Bayley had defeated his girl Becky Lynch, so he might have been a little salty. We'll get into that. For the right to face Sasha at Takeover Brooklyn on August 22. And he said that he loves Bayley, but she will not draw a dime in WWE. WWE. I can't do it as well as Geno does. So we will open with Geno explaining himself, since I and some others lambasted him for that on Twitter.
You and many others. So this is one of the first times I've posted an opinion on the Cageside Twitter and been universally just blasted for it from all sides. Like I think 2 people like understood right away what I meant. Now, I think this kind of speaks to Bayley's and how over she is, that everyone rushed to her defense. That it was, oh, I'm somehow saying something bad about Bayley herself. And I'm certainly not. Again, I said, love Bayley, she's great, right? Thug life, all that bullshit, fine, whatever. But since when does anyone have any confidence in WWE there you go, to properly handle any woman who has a gimmick other than she's hot and sexy? They can't handle women whose gimmick is that they're hot and sexy, i.e. Nikki Bella. Right? Comes out, does the twirl, shakes her ass, whatever, gets in the ring, she's great, whatever. And she's turned herself into a great wrestler, right? Nikki's great. But her whole thing is just that she's hot. That's her gimmick, everybody. That's it. That's literally all she is. And now she's become a good wrestler, and it's become, I'm Divas Champ for a long time. Okay. So they can't handle that. They don't know how to properly push that, right? Which we've seen recently, yeah? So it's, there's a Divas Revolution and all this. Oh, okay, not really. Because your champion is trying to make the story about how long the reign is, and they just aren't catching on, or they just don't care to do that. And then you look at a gimmick like, okay, so Emma. right? She had a lot of the same qualities. Bubbly, whatever, very lovable. You'd think an easy sell. And then you get to the main roster, and what happened? Yeah. Death happened. They have no idea how to handle a character like that. And what's more is it's not even just, even if they knew how, they don't get enough time to flesh it out anyway. They just don't. So if the time is, we can have Bailey come up and be super cheerful and happy and whatever, and like come out and be a role model for kids, right? How much time is she going to get to do any of that? How much time is she going to get that over? Is that more important to them than it will be to put Charlotte, or I should say Ric Flair's daughter, on TV? Or how important is that versus, okay, let's get the women out there who are dressed really skimpy, who are going to look really good, and shake their ass around? So is Bailey ever going to draw a dime in WWE? No, she's not. Mostly because no women draw in WWE, because that's how they book their women.
Well, let me. Can I ask you something?
Sure, of course.
Because I think some of what I agree with what you're saying a lot with the fleshed out explanation. I think it gets down to a definition of what does draw a dime mean.
Okay.
So while I agree, I don't know the WWE has ever had a woman who was a draw in terms of like, so that's why you bought tickets, because they don't present them that way.
Well, like Keith pointed out to me on Twitter, probably Lita and Trish.
You think anybody bought a ticket for Lita and Trish, or did they buy a ticket for The Rock and Austin?
Possibly.
Well, yeah, I do think they were a draw at one time. I mean, they main evented a Raw.
Yeah, they weren't. That wasn't like anything that they built in advance. I mean, that wasn't like tune in weeks. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, to me, here's my question.
Okay, they were stars, though.
Is anybody in WWE other than John Cena drawing right now?
Okay, so what I mean when I say to draw is essentially, are you going to watch the show for this person? Right? Like you said, okay, so it's usually the main eventers, and it's, pay-per-view, and the network has changed the game as far as, you can't like look at, okay, the main event and then whoever's in the main event, and you look at how many buys they drew. But it's kind of house shows, they do it with house shows now, like, okay, the Cena show is drawing this much, and then the B show with Brian headlining is drawing this many fans, and you can kind of compare like that. But I'm just saying, like, I saw.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, I was just gonna say my other argument is she is drawing in WWE right now.
She's not though. Like so.
She is one of that is as promoted an event for Takeover. I mean, Triple H is tweeting about how come see how the Divas Revolution started. They're selling that women's match for somewhere where they sold out 13,000 seats. The game has changed, like Gino said.
But that's what's funny, because that you're saying they're selling that, bro. That building sold out before they ever knew what the fucking women's match would be.
You knew there was going to be a women's match. You knew
that is not why it sold out, and you know that.
But it's part of why they sold out. NXT is known for women's wrestling. That is part of the brand. Sasha talked about that on Jericho yesterday. That there's pressure on them because they're being sold there in a way that they're not on the main roster. And that is every much part of the WWE as anything else. I mean, she's selling merch. She's main eventing house shows. The women are. I mean, that is WWE now. I don't know how you can discount that and say that doesn't count.
It's not WWE. The scale is so massively different. Okay, it's like saying, okay, it's a huge accomplishment for these women.
So what does draw a dime mean? Because she's making money for the company.
Because Sean,
selling tickets, people are tuning into that show on Wednesday night and buying network subscriptions to see women's wrestling on NXT.
Sean, so here's the issue: is that like in NXT and Full Sail, it's so scaled down that.
But Full Sail isn't the only place that NXT exists. It's a traveling brand now.
No, it's where it exists though for the majority of the people that see NXT. Full Sail is where it exists. Okay,
like the majority of the people who see NXT see it on WWE Network.
Right. No,
which has over 1 million subscribers and has won awards. I don't know if you've heard about that.
Good Lord, dude.
The problem is that when you scale things up, and it's not just like Gino brought up Emma, right? Like that, pretty much the same
It's not the same gimmick. I disagree with that almost totally. Because Emma was a meta gimmick. Emma started as a heel. It was the whole, like, can't you get in the ring? Bailey is just, like, make a wish and hug people. It's a much easier sell. It presents itself.
Though. Bailey's basically the Sami Zayn, like, the female Sami Zayn.
She's Daniel Bryan, and how did that work out?
No, she's not.
She is.
She's not.
How did that work out, Sean?
Did he main event WrestleMania? Is he one of the? Did they trot him out every
Come
chance
on.
they get to sell his merchandise?
Come on.
After 15 years of struggling.
After 4 years.
He struggled for 15 years in the WWE.
Oh, wait. Come on. Can we not ignore? See, you say shit like that's what kills me. What's funny is you just help make our point, man.
No,
you say, well, she's not going to try. She's Daniel Bryan. If she's Daniel Bryan, they're going to fucking bury her. They're going to kill her for years.
That company while they were burying him.
The only reason he main evented WrestleMania is because CM Punk left. That's it. Sorry, everybody. I know you love Daniel Bryan, and I love him too. He's great. As soon as he's champ, what happens? He's not the focus at all. They brought Evolution back and had him completely overshadow everything Daniel Bryan was doing. Put him in a program with fucking Kane. And then he ends up, the title's gone, now he's gone again.
Dude. You're talking about two entirely different things, first of all. That has nothing to do with Daniel Bryan. That's the booking. And that's what I'm saying is...
That's the point!
They haven't created a new star of any gender in 10 years.
That's what I'm saying. You're, again, making my point.
Why single out Bailey? Just say WWE sucks at making stars.
Because
like Rob's point that we should burn NXT to the ground.
And we should.
Created for the ground.
And we should, because there's like, tell me the NXT right now, the NXT, not the FCW or the NXT television show, like the reality show that they did, the current NXT crap, like product. Tell me the success stories.
But how is that NXT's fault?
How many success stories do they have, Sean?
Dude, that's the point. But the wide point, the bigger point that I'm making, and that's, again, everyone's like, oh, you're attacking Bailey. No.
I didn't say you're attacking Bailey. I just think that you
just said not single her out.
You did single her out. You said her name because you knew it was going to get a response.
Correct, and let me explain that. So here's Bailey. She just wins a match to, okay, she's going to go for the NXT Women's title at TakeOver, right? So it's the big thing, okay? So, all right, well, you start thinking about it and you go, okay, Bailey, she's great or whatever, and it's like, you know what, though? She's probably not going to draw when she gets up to the main roster.
But who is, Gino? Who is?
Again, so it's to say, okay, but why not? And everyone's like, she's going to be all these great and wonderful things. And you could have said that about Paige, and you said that about Charlotte, and Becky, and Emma, and Sasha, and literally every single one of them. And you go, well, why is that the case? You go, because the booking sucks. And you can sit there and go, okay, well, Emma and Bailey are two hugely different characters. Yeah, you're probably right. That's because you understand subtlety and nuance. Do they? Are they going to look at that and see some big difference? Or are they going to do like I do, and I look at it and I see enough similarity that they're going to go, she's a comedy act. When's the last time a comedy act drew anything? At all, ever? You say, well, because she sells merchandise. So does Kevin Owens. And they're calling him fat on TV, left and right, having Randy Orton doing fucking fat stuff, acting like he's pregnant in matches.
But he's still making the money. I mean, that's like we bemoan. Kevin Owens has his dream job. He's on Raw every week. We're crying over him. He's fine.
Okay, so maybe Gino's wording was incorrect on like the actual definition of draw a dime. Here's the thing, though. I'm going to go back to this because you still haven't actually addressed it. Tell me the success stories from NXT.
Well, I mean, it depends. I mean, Rusev right now is killing it. He's from NXT. Big E and Xavier Woods are killing it. They're from NXT. I mean,
so two.
That's three right there. I mean, if you want to, I mean, you're talking about Charlotte as somebody who's good.
That's the women that just.
It's going to change. The women in 6 months, the women are going to be buried.
They're in the middle of their first. They're not successful yet, Sean. They're in the middle of their first 3-week push.
Okay, I mean, I'm not, but they're getting a push. I don't know what is your definition of success? Tell me.
My definition of success is actually having some longevity on the main roster where you aren't being buried on the bottom of the card and you aren't being buried, and it's not like, oh, hey, you know what? We got the Zack Ryder. We got our Zack Ryder, showing up occasionally. Like, hey, where's Bo Dallas, Sean?
He's a comedy act. I'm not. I never thought that Bo was going to be much more. I thought he might be like a guy who would hold an Intercontinental title.
But he got over in NXT.
He got over in WWE too. People were into him, and they decided they didn't want to go that way.
No, he did not.
See, but that's a good question too.
I mean, people were. He was getting cheers when he had that winning streak going. Gino broke out the fucking breaking news banner because he had been pinned. He was over. They decided to shit on the gimmick. That's two different things.
He wasn't over.
He was over. He was connecting with the audience. People were into that.
Here's what I should say then. Draw a dime. Okay, of course, everyone's gonna draw some fucking money. Like people buy Los Matadors merchandise. Okay, so it's not like we'll focus on that.
Okay, if you're gonna discount it like that, I do believe I will stick to my guns. Bayley will sell a lot more than Los Matadors.
Okay, here's what I'll say.
With her an army of like little kids and all these people on Twitter who freak the fuck out about you, who wear "I'm a hugger" shirts, even though they're 40-year-old men. She's bigger than that.
Here's my revised statement. I won't say she won't draw a dime. Because I'm sure she'll sell some merch, whatever, and people will like her just like they liked Emma. I will say I believe her WWE career path will follow that of Emma. She'll show up. They'll have no fucking clue how to use her. They'll use her improperly when they do. She'll never get over. She'll never get the chance to get over, and she will never become anything close to anything. Like Ross said, there will be no longevity. She'll probably either end up back in NXT just like Emma, or just fade away, become like a Layla who just disappears. You don't ever see her. That's what I think the future holds for Bayley. And again, that's not her fault. That is not a Bayley problem. That is not Bayley. Again, I'm not attacking Bayley in any way. I love Bayley. The point was to say, love her, but she's never going to draw on WWE because they're never going to let her because they're not ever going to understand a character like that. They don't understand characters like that. They never had.
To go one step further, I think that she's not even going to make it to the main roster.
Well, she'll make it to the main roster at some point.
I don't think so. I think that I was telling you this last night. I think the only and this is including Sami Zayn. This is including Finn Balor. This is including Hideo Itami. The only person from NXT, or the only two people from NXT that I have any faith in actually getting over with the main roster audience that actually have any shot of actually having success is Big Cass and Enzo Amore. And you know why? That opening line, their opening, "Hello, my name is Enzo Amore. I'm a certified G. I'm a bona fide thug." That is going to get them over. The same way it got over the New Age Outlaws. Only people that are going to get over on the main roster for real are those two. That's it. Only people. And it's because of that opening.
I would agree with you, but you know what?
You know who's had more success stories with NXT? The television show. Titus O'Neil, Darren Young, the Wade Barrett.
So they're your example if that's what you want people to be?
No, that's not who I want people to be. That's my realistic expectation of. I don't think I've said it before on when we do our pay-per-view, our NXT post shows. I don't think Finn Balor his entrance translates to television. Everybody keeps bringing up the Undertaker and how he got over, and Bray Wyatt and how he's getting over with his entrance. It's way different. And every single Monday Night Raw, it's gonna if he's not dressed in full demon face paint, which it doesn't seem like he's gonna be, that shit is gonna look stupid. Really, really, really dumb.
Ruff, we're getting some feedback on your computer.
Mucho.
It's an echo. Do you take your headphones out or something?
Yeah.
Can you put them back in?
But am I wrong? Like Finn Balor.
I don't disagree with you.
Not going to translate.
I have a lot of feedback.
Ross, put your fucking headphones back in.
Hello.
I'm muted. I'll mute myself while you guys are talking. Okay.
Okay.
Did he do it? Hey, it works. Well, I would agree. I mean, I don't think Enzo and Cass are going to be a big hit. I think they're going to milk them for that entrance, and they're going to be jobbers in the tag team division. They'll probably get the belt like once a year, kind of like Primetime Players have it now, when it's their turn in the rotation. And but I don't think they know how to capitalize on that and make a ton of money off it. I don't think they know how to make characters. Period. I would say, to Gino's point, I do think I have a little bit more faith in Bayley because I think she's incredibly marketable, like from a PR perspective. I mean, for the NXT recap last week, on Facebook, I focused on her relationship with the little girl in the audience, Izzy, and that shit got all kind of like shares. And I mean, she does Make-A-Wish stuff. She is. I agree with you. She's not going to be like a dominant champ, but I think she's got value to them that even if they screw her up as a comedy act, she connects to a certain part of their audience that they value and that they'll keep her around as a result of that.
The problem with so much of NXT, and I think this is a problem with NXT as a whole, right? So we get to a point where, okay, now we're going to go to Brooklyn, and they're shocked because they're selling out a 13,000-seat building. And it's pretty fucking impressive what they've done, able to sell out Brooklyn for NXT, then SummerSlam, then Raw the next night, all in the same building. Like, that's not something that's ever happened.
Right.
But what you do is you have it all in the same place. Okay, so TV's always at Full Sail, right? It's always in the same spot at the college. So you get a very certain set of fans. These are all the same fucking people. Okay? Mm-hmm. There's no difference there. So essentially that's just starving the fucking shit out of everyone else, everywhere else who's gotten into NXT, and there's a large enough group that so they go out on the road and they sell out and they go, oh wow, we're more successful than we think. Okay, fine. But that's again because we've never had it. So can they sustain that with what they're doing? I don't believe they can, A. But B, the bigger point is it's such a small scale that what works there, you cannot have any confidence that it will then also work on Raw with 13,000 fans for every arena you're going to, or 10, 11, 12, whatever. So it's the same thing with Adam Rose thing. Well, that fucking entrance and gimmick, the whole thing was great in NXT. It got over real well. Bo Dallas, all these people. But you get to the main roster, and no one goes anywhere beyond their initial push. No one becomes anything even resembling a star. They're all middling, and they're just, where are they now? None of the most successful story that we could come up with, or you talked about, was what? Rusev?
Yeah, right now. I mean, yeah.
And what's he doing? He's mid-card. Like, that's reality. He was only in the main event to John Cena. That was it. So, you know what I mean? It's just this...
I agree with you completely. I would use like a sports analogy. I know you're not the biggest baseball fan, Gino, but that's the best one because they've got a deep minor league system. But I think it applies to football or any other sport, soccer, you name it. The best like developmental systems have like a unified vision. Like like the guys in the minor leagues or the guys in the draft, the guys that are evaluating the college kids, they know what the head coaches want, so they look for those skills and they put together a plan for those guys to go all the way to the top. And that's the problem with NXT as a developmental brand is that you're creating this like indie smart thing for the Full Sail crowd and for us hardcores on the network, and they're not communicating at all with the main roster for what they want and what their needs are. And then on top of that, we get the reports that not only aren't they communicating, but they're actively trying to sabotage each other. It's a mess. It's not a good model for producing stars, and that's why they have failed to produce any stars ever, almost. I mean, since John Cena. They can't produce John Cena's replacement in over a decade of trying.
And I think that's the thing about... We'll let you come back in here, Rob. I think that's the thing... All right.
Oh, no, I was letting you finish your thought.
Yeah, but you unmuted.
Thanks, Kanye.
Go ahead, Rob.
I think he's letting you finish your thought.
Gino, just finish your thought and I'll unmute myself.
Okay. That's the problem, I think, with the women and with the women's Divas Revolution and all that is, again, it works on the small scale at Full Sail. It works when, okay, you can even take it to a house show in Philly, and it works at WrestleMania weekend in San Jose because, I mean, that's WrestleMania. We're the smarkiest of the smarks, right? The people who spend thousands to travel from all over the world to go see these people. That works in those situations. It's a whole different ball game when you get to the main roster, and there has to be an even greater emphasis and even more, TLC paid to it so that you can have the most success. And they're not doing that. B, they're never going to be willing to do that. And C, again, the differences there are. So Bayley Becky was a fine match. I mean, it was what it was. It wasn't really all that great. I wasn't really all that blown away by it. I don't really, I can't imagine that match, which headlined an NXT show, and everyone, drooling about it. Oh my God, the women are headlining. It's so great. That match isn't even going to cut it as the opener on a Raw. That's the reality of it. Let's not act like, we tend to kick in the hyperbole and act like, oh, it's so much bigger than it actually is, or it's so much more, and we tend to overdo it because, again, we're talking about these people who are into this are the hardcores, the fanboys, the people who have a tendency to do like I do. When Becky comes on screen, oh, Becky, oh my God, I act like a fucking fangirl about it, and it's, because there's that attachment that's there, and that's everybody in NXT. That's all the fans. So it seems so much bigger than it actually is, and you don't know the people who are like the John Cena who will create and project to so many more people. And again, most importantly, the people who aren't like that, the people who just come in for just a little bit. Is Bayley going to connect to those people? Maybe. Maybe she's got a shot, but they don't know how to book that. And so that's why I think most of these people come up and they don't really have much of a chance at all. Go ahead, Rob.
So I don't think that anybody in NXT is actually going to get over. No one will. No one will have a long career at top. Your best bet, your best shot at having somebody was Kevin Owens, and apparently like Kevin Dunn and Vince McMahon have this thing where they don't want anybody from NXT, any of the people that are here for the future of the fucking company. Like this is your future. This is your future of your company that you've invested in, and by like not Kevin Owens your future, but like NXT, the Performance Center is your future. That's what you've invested in. Everybody that gets signed, they have to go to NXT, right? Like they have to go to Performance Center and work out there. Nobody's been signed from the Indies or from bodybuilding or anything like that and gone straight to WWE. It's literally you have to go to NXT, you have to go to the Performance Center. Guys like Samoa Joe who already have careers outside that could bring in a new audience. Guys like Kevin Steen that have a audience already. They're not being called up immediately. You have to go to NXT first. And the fact that they can be so dismissive and so short-sighted about it, I have no faith in it. I have no faith in NXT actually being a viable option for the future of the company. And it's not like you have the excuse of, oh, well, they just haven't had the talent level like they did with the with I guess they call it the OVW4, where it was Cena, Batista, Lesnar, and Orton. Dude, come on. Like they have that right now in NXT. They had that. And unfortunately, the WWE is like the way that it's structured and the way that it's built at this time is, hey, you know what? We can't actually give you more than 3 weeks to get over. You get 3 weeks. That's it. You get 3 weeks to get over. If it does not get over, then you're shit out of luck. You're back down and back down to the undercard. You may not even be featured at all on television. And again, this is a very, very realistic way of looking at it. This doesn't make me feel good because I enjoy the product. I enjoy NXT. I enjoy the product, but it's also history has shown us that the only person from NXT that has showed any sort of success at breaking through the top was Kevin Owens. And I know that you're really you like Rusev and what he's doing right now. He's middling right now. He's treading water. That's what he's doing. He's treading water right now. Sami Zayn, when Sami Zayn finally comes back and comes up to the main roster, he has no shot. None. He has no shot at getting over. Because what Vince McMahon and Kevin Dunn will see is, hey, just like this skinny guy that he's just happy, he smiles. Fuck him. Like here's a very, very like this is kind of inside baseball or like insider information. So after the whole pipe bomb incident with CM Punk, Colt Cabana did get a tryout. His trunks ripped, and so Kevin Dunn decided to just zoom in on the ripped trunks the entire time. And then he presented it, and I know this because of my friend that works at WWE, and presented it to Vince McMahon and said, "Look how unprofessional he is. He can't even look good and presentable for a dark match on television. We cannot sign him." And he didn't get another shot. This is after, like, hey, you know what? We gotta appease CM Punk and bring his friends back. They didn't because they looked unprofessional. Because it looked unprofessional, and Kevin Dunn said, "Fuck CM Punk." You think that shit's not gonna happen when, like, I don't know, Bayley, who unfortunately, and this is another realistic, and it's kind of could have come off as sexist, she's not as attractive as Emma. She's not as attractive as Charlotte. She's not as attractive as Sasha Banks, and she's not as attractive as Becky Lynch. Sorry, she's not going to make it.
She's got a great ass, though.
Sure, great. Cool. She could be the blue dot that Vince McMahon wanted to use on Christian.
Here's
I'm being a shithead, man, but
I know.
I'm being very, very realistic.
Am I? Is it safe to talk now? Not yet. All right, now it's safe to talk. I don't disagree with either one of you guys. I mean, I agree. I mean, WWE has got a fucked philosophy of how to create stars, and the internal politics are poisonous. I mean, it's unbelievable that they get anything done if there's so much politics going on backstage that nobody's on the same page almost ever. But I think part of my argument is, and again, I think this is where we're like sort of talking apples and oranges. I think that NXT is a viable alternative on its own. Is Vince going to use it the way he used to use the territories, where he calls up a monster to have John Cena squash him a couple times a year? I mean, the way, because that's what Owens is, the new Umaga. He's the, Rusev was Lord Tensai. He was somebody that was brought up for Cena to go over. And that's just what it is. You're right. I can't argue that. That's not a way to make these guys a big star on the main stage. But if they're creating a product that we enjoy, which we are a big part of their fan base that they do care about, they just like to make fun of us a lot. They're not touring them to the extent that it's like a main roster tour. So I don't think that they're going to burn out. I think they are being pretty strategic. Even the reports were that even for TakeOver Brooklyn, they were going to configure that space for smaller, and they opened it up when they realized they could sell it out. So I think they're going to keep it so that touring it is kind of special. I agree that the Full Sail smart crowd makes it impossible to kind of figure out what translates, but I don't think they really care what translates that much. I think they are viewing this as two different brands that crosses over occasionally. And if somebody does break out through all the bullshit, then maybe they'll accept that. Maybe they'll just try to bury them harder. But they still can put them back in NXT where they have a product that people will pay $9.99 a month to see, that when it comes to your area, like you said, Gino, I think they've been smart about this. They're not just touring like Omaha and just everywhere. They're going a few times a year to different big regional areas, and people go, holy shit, I got to go see NXT. This is my chance. And they're going to keep selling out for that reason. It doesn't work as a developmental model because they aren't interested in really using it as a developmental model. But is it in-house ECW? Yes.
Okay,
and that's a way to draw in the 21st century.
I actually have to get out of here, but I'll go out on this. I think that they're coming dangerously close to a time to where, like I said, I don't think they can sustain what they're doing because I don't think that it translates. They're not big enough to be the brand that they want to be. They're too small to be an actual developmental promotion. And then even if you're going to get to a point where you go, it's our guy. That's our guy, right? So, like, Bayley is, especially with the call-ups, and it looks even more now like Bayley is an NXT woman.
She was hurt when they did the call-ups, so.
Right, but I'm just saying, I can't even imagine Finn Balor on the main roster. I can't imagine Sami Zayn on the main roster. So he could be a big star, but, like, those are NXT guys. In my mind, that's how I look at them. So it's like I wonder how much of that's going to happen. Much of Sting's a WCW guy. You can't even imagine him in WWE. And look at what happened to him in WWE. Exactly what he always feared. Had no fucking clue how to book the guy. So yeah, I worry that that's also going to happen, and I just don't know. I don't know. NXT is, for me, like Ralph talked about. I don't know that I'm ready to burn it to the ground. but it's absolutely on the downswing now. It's not anywhere near what we like to prop it up as. So, but that's all I got. So,
all right, Roth. Any closing thoughts, or you good?
No one from NXT will ever be successful on the main roster because it's scaled down too far. Yeah, that's it.
All right, you guys are
just get rid of like. Look, you know what? Like OVW worked, and all these past developmental territories worked because they weren't they weren't being broadcasted live every single week, and so this is actually my final closing statement. The reason why OVW worked is because I didn't get to see any of these guys every single week, so I didn't actually have any expectations. So I had no expectations for Randy Orton. I had no expectations for Batista, Lesnar, Shelton Benjamin. I had no expectations for any of them, and so it works that way because then they come up and it's like, whoa, this is their sink or swim moment. The problem that a lot of the NXT things is that like I now have time to to come up with either this is going to work or I already have time to build in my criticism. And so you have your expectations of what is going to work and what won't work. So, like, for me, I don't think Finn Balor's entrance works. I don't. And he's been doing this kind of entrance for, in New Japan and even before that. He's been doing these kind of, like, fully, like, super artistic kind of entrances. I don't think it's going to work on Monday Night Raw every single week. I think that when they tour into, let's say, Omaha, or into Indianapolis or any kind of like smaller market which doesn't really give a shit about the theatrical and they just want to see John Cena. I think that the flapping his arms kind of thing that he does, it's not going to do anything. They're going to go, what the hell is this? I don't like this. This looks stupid. I would have more faith in it if I didn't have to see it every single week, because then I can go, this is special.
We've gotten Matt Roth so upset he lost his voice.
I lost my voice. I'm so upset about it. No, like, here's the thing. I've been saying this whenever we do our show. Like, whenever we do post NXT stuff, I'm the one who says this shit. I'm the one who's like, this isn't going to work. Hey, you know what, Sean? I'm just going to run down some people from NXT, and I want you to tell me if they got over, if they're still over, okay?
Okay.
The Ascension.
No.
Bo Dallas.
Kind of. And now no.
Adam Rose.
No.
Were those three originally though over in NXT?
The Ascension were sort of ironically over. The other two were.
Okay. Neville, is he over right now, or is he just kind of middling?
I think he's over. I think his finisher's always over. He's like working.
I don't know, man. But like, to me, I just think that this is the product that we're supposed to like. This is the product that you and I and Gino that we're supposed to like because it's a product for us. But
and I guess that would be my closing argument is that it can be both of those. I agree with everything you guys are saying about the WWE's main roster booking problems and that a lot of these guys won't ever translate to Raw, but the wrestlers can make a lot of money and it can be a product that we can enjoy. So I think, and I hate to say like you're watching it wrong or anything because I don't think you are, but I think it's good for us to sometimes remember that we don't need to critically analyze all this stuff and just kind of like what you like and see what happens. And otherwise, I don't know why we're watching it all because it's really fucking depressing because they don't care a whole lot about what we want and they actively like undermine stuff that we enjoy. So that's really depressing. So I don't know. I guess we'll just have to, what it is. We'll have to deal with it.